Hare Krishna. Somebody can please lead the invocation prayers. Hare Krishna. Somebody. Everybody should take turns for reciting invocation prayers. Matan
I can
Prabhu,
do it. Hare Krishna.
go ahead.
Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Salakya Sakshurunmelitamena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stavidamena Bhudale Swarovam Gadamahyam Tadadi Swapadahidam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yudapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Sri Rupam Sakrayadam Sagahana Raghunatha Tamta Jivam Sadvaitam Sadadugam Pariyana Sahidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagahana Lalita Sri Visaham Sampavisascha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesa Gopiya Kanda Radha Kanda Namastude Saptavanjana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Sapanu Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
Good. Thank you. So today we will first discuss the inquiries. There are a lot of inquiries submitted by the devotees. So we'll first discuss all of them. And then we will try to finish text number 2, Nectar of Instruction, depending on how much time we are left with. Okay, I will bring up on screen the inquiries. Question number 1. Srila Prabhupada did not ask George Harrison to give up everything or make less endeavor. Why was that? Even when it's clearly mentioned in this text that we should not over endeavor. First, how do you know what Srila Prabhupada asked or did not ask to George Harrison? George Harrison is from the famous Beatles music band. If you read Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita, Srila Prabhupada had asked George Harrison to pick up the cost of printing the Krishna book. And Srila Prabhupada asked George Harrison to dovetail his music talent for Krishna consciousness. Hence, all ISKCON temples in the entire world play the spectacular Govindam Kirtan created by George Harrison. And in London, England, the huge property on which ISKCON temple is constructed was donated by George Harrison. And George Harrison left his body in a Krishna conscious way. So if George Harrison has already dovetailed everything in Krishna's service, why would Srila Prabhupada ask him or anyone to stop? The key point of endeavor is that endeavor is not condemned. Endeavor is required. Over endeavor in the material world, which is not dovetailed in Krishna's service, is condemned. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.2.3, very easy verse to remember, explains that as your Krishna consciousness increases, even with the increase of age, actually your service increases. Therefore, there is no stopping. It is only in the material world that one has to take retirement. In spirituality, there is no retirement. Actually, even when one becomes old, service keeps increasing. So for George Harrison, everything was dovetailed. He was doing more and more Krishna conscious activities. Why would Srila Prabhupada stop him? He is actually more Krishna conscious than what he was before. So we will read this Srimad Bhagavatam 3.2.3 from the screen. Sumnima, translation and purport from the screen.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Uddhava thus served the Lord continually from childhood, and in his old age, that attitude of service never slackened. As soon as he walked about, was asked about the message of the Lord, he at once remembered all about him. Purport. Transcendental service to the Lord is not mundane. The service attitude of the devotee gradually increases and never becomes slackened. Generally, in old age, a person is allowed retirement from his mundane service. But in transcendental service of the Lord, there is no retirement at all. On the contrary, the service attitude increases more and more with the progress of age. In transcendental service, there is no satiation, and therefore there is no retirement. Materially, when a man becomes tired by rendering service in his physical body, he is allowed retirement. But in transcendental service, there is no feeling of fatigue because it is spiritual service and it is not on the bodily plane. Service on the bodily plane dwindles as the body grows older, but the spirit is never old, and therefore on the service plane, the service is never tiresome. Uddhava undoubtedly became old, but that does not mean that his spirit became old. His service attitude matured on the transcendental plane, and therefore, as soon as he was questioned by Vidura about Lord Krishna, he at once remembered his Lord by reference to the context and forgot himself on the physical plane. That is a sign of pure devotional service to the Lord, as will be explained later on Lakshanam Bhakti Yogyasya, etc., in Lord Kapila's instruction to his mother Devotee. Hare Krishna.
Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Vijesh Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. The example of Mr. Harrison given here, you explained that he donated certain things and etc. So it's like it's a monetary involvement, but also there is a physical involvement, there is a mental involvement, and everybody has their own set of things. So uh, here, particular example, this person was just monetarily involved. So is that enough?
He was not just monetary involved, he was fully involved. And we don't have to copy somebody else's involvement. We have to involve ourselves according to time, place, and circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not comparing him with anybody else, or we should not look
George,
at somebody else's bhakti. I'm
George
just asking
Harrison.
general form.
Yeah, George Harrison was rich by default, so he donated so much amount of land, some 80 some acres. That's a huge amount of land, and that too in London, England. Very costly land that he donated will be millions and millions of dollars. Plus, he was also using his talent in Krishna consciousness. It wasn't just money. Everything he was using in Krishna's service to serve Srila Prabhupada.
And isn't it said by you that it is just not one day? We have to keep doing it, what we were doing day one, and we have to keep growing.
Correct. You are correct.
So So when any XYZ, it's not just about this example, but when we do some monetary donation or something like that, that's just one day. But let's say we are doing some service in the kitchen or some mental growth where we are chanting japas, and if that increases, that is the increase in bhakti rather than like monetary donations.
You are correct. So that's exactly what we read in 3.2.3, that as your body ages, your service increases. So service does not mean one particular activity. Service means as long as you are constantly remembering Krishna, constantly doing services, everything is included in service. So your japa, your remembrance, your scriptural study, your actual services at the home temple or Toronto or the local temple, all are part of services.
And somebody able to, as we say, as you said just a couple of seconds ago, that somebody whosoever does whatever he can, that is okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to say that somebody else is doing 5 hours of service, so I am only able to do 1 hour and therefore I am slacking. No, you are doing 1 hour according to your ability is identical to somebody else doing 5 hours according to his ability. Both are identical according to
Basically,
time basis.
quality is more important than quantity.
Quality is important. Simultaneously, we have bare minimum set standards. So 16 rounds of japa is bare minimum standard. Actually, 16 rounds of japa is less than bare minimum. Scriptures have 64 rounds of japa as the standard. So initially, when Prabhupada explained this to his disciples, initial disciples, they all went to Prabhupada saying, Prabhupada, it's impossible to chant 64 rounds of japa every day. So Prabhupada reduced it to 32 rounds because Prabhupada is Shakti Avesha Avatar. And even after reducing it to 32, devotees still went back and told Prabhupada, Prabhupada, we don't have taste. It's impossible to chant 32 rounds every day. And then Prabhupada further reduced it to 16, saying, okay, 16 rounds, and simultaneously you will do services, you will read scriptures. So that's what Prabhupada did to compensate. But the actual standard is 64 rounds. So many pure devotees, they chant 64 rounds every day. And actually, they don't stop at 64 rounds. They just continuously chant 24 hours. Does that help you, Abhishek?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Kunal, Prabhu.
So, Prabhuji, the question was in terms of like the relation to text 2. So, text 2 says that we should not endeavor more, we should keep our endeavors under limit. So, Prabhupada did not ask George Harrison to, okay, why are you taking out 2 albums? Why are you taking out 10 albums?
Yeah.
Even though he was connected to devotional service, we did not ask him to endeavor less.
Because he has already dovetailed everything in Krishna's service. And that's exactly what we read in 3.2.3. That as your Krishna consciousness increases, your service increases. So as long as you have dovetailed everything in Krishna's service, why would Srila Prabhupada stop him? Your service is actually increasing and it's bound to increase. So he was doing everything for Krishna's service and everything to please Prabhupada. Why would Prabhupada stop him from doing more Krishna conscious activities?
Okay, got it. Since you are already connected, it is okay to endeavor more.
Yeah. Endeavor is not condemned. Over endeavor in the material world that takes you away from Krishna, that is what is condemned in Nectar of Instruction, text number 2.
Okay, got it. Hare Krishna.
Question number 2. What experiences will we have after at least 1 lakh japa? Is there any realization or change in consciousness that we can measure ourselves? So to do 1 lakh japa, which is equal to 100,000 japa every day, first do the math. So chanting 16 rounds of japa takes about 2 hours every day. Haridas Thakur used to chant about 22 hours every day, that would be roughly 180 rounds every day. For doing 1 lakh japa or for doing 100,000 japa, you will need more than 24 hours. So spirituality is not about a mathematical number. It is more about quality. So going back to the inquiry that if you do so much rounds, now 100,000 is definitely not possible. But say if you do lot of rounds, try to spend majority of your 24 hours. So from Haridas Thakur's example, who used to do 22 hours of japa every day, he was so elevated in Krishna consciousness that one time in the middle of a dark night, a prostitute approached Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur replied to the prostitute that, let me first finish my japa. You just wait here. And the prostitute waited while Haridas Thakur was doing his japa. And because of so much volume of pure japa chanting, the result was that the prostitutes went on to become purified simply by hearing the japa of Haridas Thakur. So it's not a mathematical number. It's more about quality. Yes, we do have bare minimum standards to meet. Beyond that, and even for the bare minimum, it's more about quality rather than quantity. So say if you have to chant X number of rounds to go back home to Godhead, and you cannot say that from tomorrow I will double my japa rounds so that I can go home back to Godhead in 50% of the time. It doesn't work that way. It's more about quality. Does that answer the inquiry? Question number 3. Who defines what is over collecting? Does this apply to collecting money too? For example, collecting or saving money for building a house required much less a few years ago than now. While I understand it should not cross the line of greediness, having a home now demands a certain level of collecting money. Is my saving and planning to pay my mortgage and bills acceptable or not? So scriptures give the standards, and you have to apply the standards on yourself to judge whether you are over collecting or not. So Nectar of Instruction text number 2 says, simple living, high thinking. So as long as you are living a simple life, have a small house rather than a mansion, then you are okay. And in terms of mansion, yes, you can also have a mansion as long as you are using the mansion as Krishna's temple and use the mansion for worshipping Krishna and serving Krishna's devotee, then there is no atyahar. So you have to judge according to your time, place, and circumstances that what is beyond greediness. And this will vary for everyone. As long as you have enough time to work and earn enough to keep your body and soul together, simultaneously you have time for spirituality, then you have balance in your material and spiritual life. Yakya karma samudbhava from 3.14. Then you are okay. Does that answer the inquiry? Even though the inquiry is asked by a particular devotee, I'm assuming it should apply to everyone. Question number 4. It seems like a cultish hard line to say we should not over-collect or chat about anything unrelated to Krishna. Enjoying a simple meal, working to have a warm and safe home, over collecting, these are such variable standards across the globe for different countries. It may take several lifetimes to meet these standards. It just seems all very depressing and sad, and it is only leaving me with a huge guilt and fear that I am not at all pleasing Krishna. I hope he understands me. I thank you for listening with rapt attention and reading with rapt attention. Therefore, you have this inquiry. First, you don't have to be depressed or feel sad. Set the scriptural standards as your goals and work towards the goal little by little. Just as there is another goal in the scriptures, will come up in Nectar of Instruction. I think it already might be there in text number 2 purport. That 50% of our income, we should use it in Krishna's service. Well, that seems like a lot. So don't be depressed when you read these standards. Just set them as your goals and work towards achieving that goal little by little. Now, wanting to enjoy in the material world, you are bound to fail because Bhagavad Gita 8.16 clearly states that material world is a place of misery. Plus, we are spirit souls. We do not belong in the material world. Now, the question says about wanting to please Krishna. So, if you want to please Krishna, scriptures have described a simple way to please Krishna, which is to please the spiritual master. Therefore, get initiated from a bona fide spiritual master and satisfy the spiritual master by service. Understand that we are not qualified to directly approach Krishna. We have to go to Krishna via the bona fide spiritual master. So I request all of you to please go to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse number 41 purport. Towards the end, there is this prayer, Yasya Prasada, Bhagavad Prasado. Everybody found it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So who wants to recite and read the translation underneath that Sanskrit word? Yasya Prasada, Bhagavad Prasad.
Prabhuji, I can try.
Go ahead.
Yasya prasada bhagvat prasado, yasya prasadan nagati kutopi, dhyayas stuvam tasya yasya stri sandhyayam, vande guru shri charan vindam. By satisfaction of the spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes satisfied, and by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no chance of being promoted to the plane of Krishna consciousness. I should therefore meditate and pray for his mercy 3 times a day and offer my respectful obeisances unto him, my spiritual master.
Right. So first line says, Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasado. That you can satisfy Krishna by satisfying spiritual master. And the second line says, Yasya Aprasadam. The word A is double, that Yasya Aprasadam. When you add A, it has that negative connotation. That Yasya Aprasadam Nagati Kuto Api. That there is no other way to satisfy Krishna. So if you are wanting to please Krishna rather than anything and everything, just get initiated and serve a bona fide spiritual master, says directly in the scriptures. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes,
Mm.
yes, Prabhu.
Question number 5. If Maya defines our very existence, then isn't it possible that Krishna has ways of judging us that goes beyond these concepts of not overeating and not over collecting and a reasonable and very individual application based on which country you live in? Can He not read our true hearts or characters and intentions despite me collecting money? So in Bhagavad Gita chapter 17, we have discussed this point of what is in my heart, others cannot see. Therefore, based on my actions, one can judge what is in my heart. So scriptures have provided the standard to be detached from anything material, whether it be wanting to earn more money or any other enjoyment in the material world. So if our actions are to enjoy the material world, and verbally I am saying I care for Krishna, well, those two are wide apart. If you care for Krishna in your heart, it should be reflected in your actions by doing japa, doing devotional services, etc. So Krishna is sitting in the heart of every living entity. Krishna can see that I am entangled in the material world. Therefore, Krishna gives misery so that we can realize that we do not belong in this material world. So just verbalizing or saying, why is this standard like this? No, Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna's word are apuruseya, meaning not subject to the four defects that we are subject to. We'll soon read these four defects from Bhagavad Gita introduction. So these are the standards, but in my contaminated state, I am saying, well, these standards are too stringent. Well, standards are not stringent. My attachment to material world is very strong. Therefore, Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, verse 3 and 4, that material world is strongly rooted like a banyan tree. So we have to detach ourselves from the strongly rooted banyan tree with the sword of determination and get detached. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Question number 6. Though I am unable to understand about the concept of, sorry, I have misread. I'll start over again. Question number 6. Though I am able to understand about the concept of plain living, kindly help me to understand how to follow the same in day-to-day material life when surrounded by people who are not aware about Krishna, the Supreme Lord. A very common question. I'm pretty sure applies to many. So as we have discussed in Nectar of Instruction text number 2, that we have to live a simple life and spend the time on high thinking. Meaning, you live your life according to Nectar of Instruction text number 2 items to avoid, and adopt Nectar of Instruction text number 3 items which are favorable for bhakti. It is of course beneficial if the entire family is Krishna conscious. So you try to apply Nectar of Instruction text number 2 and text number 3 as much as is possible for you and grow little by little. For your family, which also is an upcoming similar question, for your family who is not Krishna conscious, use it as an opportunity to practice Krishna conscious principles such as tolerance, or you show compassion to your family. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Only Priyanka or few devotees seem to be responding. I'm hoping questions apply to everyone. Everyone should try to answer whether the inquiry is getting answered. Question number 7. How to continue sadhana in those times when you are emotionally broken because of different circumstances in life? So this misery point is described at great length in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Prayers of Kunti Maharani, and in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17 and 18, where Dharma is having a conversation with Parikshit Maharaj. Few devotees from this batch are also part of the other batch, where batch 3 and 4, where we are currently discussing these misery points. Actually, we have just finished Canto 1, Chapter 8. So material world is a place of misery. We have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, verse 7 and 8, that if there were no miseries in material world, we would say to Krishna that, Krishna, you stay in Goloka Vrindavan and do your pastimes in Goloka Vrindavan. We all jivas will continue to stay in the material world and perform our pastimes in the material world. You, Krishna, just ensure we get whatever is required for our enjoyment in the material world. So whether one is devotee or non-devotee, obstacles are there for everyone. The difference is in the attitude, in consciousness, in understanding what purpose the problems serve. For a devotee and non-devotee, the problems serve different purposes. Suffering does come to all. For non-devotee, when suffering comes, it leads to frustration. For a non-devotee, because material enjoyment is the only form of enjoyment, when enjoyment at the material level is obstructed, it simply leads to frustration. Whereas for a devotee, suffering leads to realization, realization leads to renunciation, and renunciation leads to devotion. How does this happen? First, realization means devotee understand it is true when scriptures say that this world is a place of misery. I am now experiencing it. Realization means to accept a reality that which the scriptures are telling is the reality. That this world is a place of misery. Devotee gets this realization from the miseries. From realization comes renunciation. Renunciation means devotee understands that I cannot be the controller. I have to be servant. I will serve Krishna whatever be the situation. Hence there is renunciation. Renunciation means giving up the enjoying mentality, giving up the controlling mentality. But I can still be a servant. Then comes devotion from this. Devotion means we become fixed in our understanding that we are servants, and this is how devotion grows. So there's a wide difference in the attitude and the outcome from the misery circumstance for a devotee and non-devotee. From Kunti Maharani's prayers in 1.8.25, Kunti Maharani says, let those calamities happen again and again so that we can remember and see you, Krishna, again and again. Because by remembering and seeing you, we will no longer come back to this miserable material world. So Kunti Maharani is a pure devotee and she can say this above prayer, which is at pure devotional level. For us, the learning from Kunti Maharani's prayer is that we have to change our attitude. When misery happens, the default attitude is, why is this happening to me? And the change attitude is that we at least remember Kunti Maharani's these prayers. By remembering Srimad Bhagavatam prayers and remembering Krishna's devotee Kunti Maharani, we are remembering Krishna. And this remembrance of Krishna will pacify from the misery situation. only then misery will lead to realization, to renunciation, to devotion. And actually, you can judge for yourself that when there is misery, one is able to chant Hare Krishna Japa with lot of intensity and with that feeling of helplessness. Anybody has had
I
that?
agree, Prabhu.
Yeah. Very good. So further, Kunti Maharani says in 1.8.26 that one who is materially exhausted can take Krishna's name with feelings. And on these, the inquiry said about these emotional circumstances. On these different emotional circumstances, we will discuss in Bhagavad Gita chapter 14. Some of you have attended those. Bhagavad Gita chapter 14 on the modes of material nature, that there is always competition among the modes. In our discussion, for Bhagavad Gita chapter 14 discussion, we will discuss practical aspects on how to recognize which mode is influencing me so that we can place ourselves in a higher mode and avoid the emotional turmoil of lower modes. So this chapter 14 discussion is a little longer discussion. Therefore, I cannot describe all of that chapter 14 now. So actually, during misery situation, if you become little conscious and remember this discussion, and remember Kunti Maharani's prayers, and remember Canto 1, chapter 17 and 18, Dharma's teaching on the misery, then actually your chanting will be of improved quality. You just have to change your attitude to use the misery to increase the quality of your japa rather than thinking, why is this misery happening to me? Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu.
So Abhishek Prabhu has a follow-up question, very important, that how to chant with the same feeling when misery subsides. So we should not ask for misery, as Kunti Maharani is asking. Kunti Maharani is pure devotee. We should not imitate. We should ask for more services. So what we have to do is, when we are in misery circumstance by itself, so we learn and we relish those feelings of chanting with attention, and at other times, we don't let that intensity go away. We say, no, this material, no, I don't have to get into material entanglement. I just have to remember the intense chanting that I did during misery circumstances and just continue. Otherwise, what's the point of learning? We are given the misery so that we learn and improve from those circumstances. And if you are not improving, or if you are not learning, well, then what was the point? Maya will again give you some misery. Abhishek Prabhu, does that help you?
Yes, sir.
Question number 8. We hear and discuss difficulties faced among devotees. But many times that discussion does not involve Lord Krishna. So it's similar to materialistic people sharing problems with each other. So we will soon read from the screen Srimad Bhagavatam 1.14.34 that it is perfect to inquire about the well-being of devotees because Krishna resides where devotees are glorifying him. the situation in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 14, is that when Krishna left Hastinapur to return to Dwarka, Arjuna also went to Dwarka with Krishna to know the Lord's next plan. When Arjuna returned from Dwarka, Yudhishthir inquired the well-being of all devotees in Dwarka except Krishna. So Yudhishthir inquired about the well-being of devotees because Krishna resides where devotees glorify Krishna. Yudhishthir did not inquire about Krishna because Krishna is all perfect. There cannot be any question of Lord's welfare. So yes, it is okay to inquire about the well-being of devotees. And we will read from 1.14.34. Okay, let's bring up on screen. All right. Priyanka, faster pace.
Hare Krishna. Here in this particular verse, the Lord is described as Bhagwan, Govinda, Brahm, Brahmanya, and Bhakta Vatsala. He is Bhagwan Swayam, or the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, full with all opulences, all power, all knowledge, all beauty, all fame, and all renunciation. No one is equal to or greater than him. He is Govinda because he is the pleasure of the cows and the senses. Those who have purified their senses by the devotional service of the Lord can render unto him real service and thereby derive transcendental pleasure out of such purified senses. Only the impure conditioned soul, only the impure conditioned living being cannot derive any pleasure from the senses, but being illusioned by false pleasures of the senses, he becomes a servant of the senses. Therefore, we need his protection for our own interest. The Lord is the protector of the cows and the Brahminical culture. A society devoid of cow protection and Brahminical culture is not under the direct protection of the Lord, just as the prisoners in the jails are not under the protection of the king, but under the protection of a severe agent of the king. Without cow protection and cultivation of the Brahminical qualities in human society, at least for a section of the members of society, no human civilization can prosper at any length. By Brahminical culture, the development of the dormant qualities of goodness, namely truthfulness, equanimity, sense control, forbearance, simplicity, general knowledge, transcendental knowledge, and firm faith in the Vedic wisdom, one can become a Brahmana and thus see the Lord as he is. And after surpassing the Brahminical perfection, one has to become a devotee of the Lord so that his loving affection in the form of a proprietor, master, friend, son, and lover can be transcendently achieved. The stage of a devotee which attracts the transcendental affection of the Lord does not develop unless one has developed the qualities of a Brahmana as mentioned above. The Lord is inclined to a Brahmana of quality and not of false prestige. Those who are less than a Brahmana by qualification cannot establish any relation with the Lord, just as fire cannot be kindled from the raw earth unless there is wood, although there is a relation between wood and the earth. Since the Lord is all perfect in himself, there could not be any question of his welfare, and Maharaj Yudhishthira refrained from asking this question. He simply inquired about his residential place, Dwarkapuri, where pious men assemble. The Lord stays only where pious men assemble and takes pleasure in their glorifying the supreme truth. Maharaj Yudhishthira was anxious to know about the pious men and their pious acts in the city of Dwarka. Hare Krishna.
Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Question number 9. People accept religion for material prosperity because of atyahar or excessive desire for such prosperity. Can you please explain this statement? So we have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita chapter 16, that demoniac nature is that they want to do a show of religiosity just to get fame out of religiosity. Most people do demigod worship because they want quick material benedictions because of excessive material desire. Therefore, the statement that religion for material prosperity is because of atyahar, is because of excessive desire to enjoy at the material level. Does that answer the inquiry? Question number 10. Is it wrong to be playing cards or crossword puzzles, etc.? If a person is getting true joy from these activities without hurting anyone or wanting to be competitive, what is wrong with these activities? It can connect people in the love for literature and words, can connect people in learning or exercising strategy. So I have a question for all. What Bhagavad Gita verse describes the hierarchy in a body? Everybody? What Bhagavad Gita verse describes the hierarchy in a body?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Kunal Prabhu?
Yeah, Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavanam jara.
No, Dehinosmin yatha dehe says you are not this body, you are a soul. But the hierarchy. Abhishek Prabhu?
Right. I remember the translation, it says that the senses are higher than dull matter, then mind is higher than senses. Intelligence is higher than soul, something like that.
Yeah, very good. Correct. So this is 3.42. Abhishek Prabhu is correct. That soul is the highest. Soul gives instruction to intelligence, intelligence to mind. Then mind gives the instruction to senses. In this way, the senses will be properly engaged in devotional service. Okay, second question for you all, for this question number 10. What is the meaning of Rishikesha? Look up in your Bhagavad Gita index, English index. Priyanka?
Master of the
Master
senses.
of, yeah.
Okay, very good. Both of you are correct. That Rishikesha means master of the senses. So another question for you for this question number 10. So instead of using office equipment for required office purposes, what will happen if you use the office equipment for your personal entertainment, such as browsing internet, watching sports, etc.? Everybody? Simple question. What will happen if you use office equipment not for office purposes, but for your own enjoyment? Silence. I got silence. Priyanka?
Not allowed to use.
Priyanka?
There'll be a reaction associated with it.
Yeah. You're not allowed to use it, or you'll have a negative reaction associated with it. So similarly, senses belong to Krishna, Rishikesha, right? And senses are meant to be used in service of Krishna and not for own enjoyment at sensual level. Further, we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita that just as after a long travel, we long to go back to our home, similarly, for a devotee, when there is nothing else to do, the devotee should simply use the time to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. I have given the example of my spiritual master, His Grace Vaisheshika Das Adhikari, that we have one-on-one meetings with him. So the one devotee leaves and the second devotee comes to meet him. So in between that transition from one devotee to the next, there is a gap of say 30 or 60 seconds. Yeah, 30 or 60 seconds between the one-on-one meetings between the first devotee and the second devotee. So my spiritual master, he used that 30 to 60 seconds time to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So coming back to the question, whether playing cards or crossword puzzles, etc. is okay. So if you have time, you should use the time to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Any intent to find happiness within material world is always going to be illusory, because material world is a place of misery. Now, crossword puzzles, it is okay to solve crossword puzzles just so as to keep your material intelligence sharp. In terms of wanting to spend time with your family, next time we go out on book distribution for Srimad Bhagavatam, you can join that party, the book distribution party, where we actually explain this point, that why you should take Srimad Bhagavatam. You should take Srimad Bhagavatam. We explain this, that you can use Srimad Bhagavatam to read together with your family and discuss with your family, and you will have quality time spent together with your family. And of course, you are doing spiritual endeavor. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Question number 11. The living entities constitute the marginal potency, and they are situated between the internal and external potencies. What is the meaning that all conditioned living beings are under the control of Lord's third energy? So the answer is already there in the question. Three relevant energies for us are, first is internal energy. We do devotional services under internal energy. Second is we all souls are marginal energy. And third is Prakriti is the third and external energy. So Bhagavad Gita 13.22 clearly describes Purusha Prakriti Stohi, that the soul wanting to enjoy in the material world is caught by this third external energy. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Question number 12. Ism is for social sense gratification. So this is the statement in Nectar of Instruction. Now the question is, but if it is someone's dharma or job, should he be focused on becoming Mahatma, or should he follow his dharma? So your situation, why you ask this question, your situation is like the Arjuna on the screen in Bhagavad Gita chapter 1, where Arjuna is fully caught up in bodily consciousness. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita chapter 1, verse number 39, in his bewilderment, Arjuna says, Kula Dharma Sanatana, that taking care of family is eternal dharma. No, this is incorrect. Serving Krishna is eternal dharma of the soul. Similarly, the question says, if any of the ism is his dharma, then what he should focus on? Well, isms cannot be your dharma. Therefore, Nectar of Instruction says, ism is for sense gratification. So when you focus on doing eternal dharma of serving the eternal master Krishna, then you will become a Mahatma. Does that answer the inquiry?
Prabhuji, can I ask something?
Yeah.
For example, somebody who is, for example, Mahatma Gandhi, he was a patriot, or somebody who's a leader, or somebody who's a soldier. So all this patriotism or all this is related to them. So they are doing their assigned job, and Krishna has asked everyone to do their assigned job.
So there's an upcoming question similar to this, that the answer is Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.8. So we'll be reading that verse very soon, where it says Shrama Evahi Kevalam, that if your material occupation does not cause you to remember Krishna, then it is useless labor. So patriotism is a pious activity, even if it is his job, that is not going to grant him spirituality on itself unless he dovetails it to remember Krishna. Vijesh Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, but how many such occupations are available, and is it possible for everybody to engage in only those occupations in the current
You
times?
can, yeah, 8.7 says Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu, that you can dovetail all activities in the material world as long as they are honorable activities and dovetail to remember Krishna. So 8.7 is how we should be living. 8.7 says Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmaram Yuddhacha. Mam Anusmaram Yuddhacha. That you remember Krishna before doing your activity, material world activity, while doing the activity and after doing the activity. The result will be my Arpita Manobuddhir, that your mind and intelligence will be offered to Krishna. And Krishna says the same point in 18.41 plus minus one verse, where he says Sarva Karmani. So for Arjuna, he says, Arjuna is confused that can Yuddh, fighting war, be dovetailed? And we, in the Bhagavad Gita class for batch 6 and 7, we discussed this yesterday in 4.23 and 24, where Acharyas have explained that Yuddh can be a yajna, that Arjuna's, the Kurukshetra war is the yajna. Arjuna's Gandhiva is the spoon or the ladle. Kauravas are the ahutis, and Krishna's universal form is the fire that is accepting the ahuti. So you can dovetail everything. You just have to learn how to do it. Vijesh Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. So, for example, again, the first question of Mr. Harrison, somebody who is into ism, somebody is into patriotism, or anything is okay, but until unless, let's say, he's doing some charity like Mr. Harrison, or he's chanting the name, and then he's engaged into any of the isms, then that is okay.
You are correct. So you have to dovetail. You have to get the guidance from a spiritual master how to dovetail my day-to-day activities. And that's what Srila Prabhupada did for George Harrison. And everybody in the material world can do the same by getting guidance from these scriptures and from spiritual master of how to dovetail your day-to-day activities into Krishna consciousness. Only then your prescribed duty will take you to spiritual world. Otherwise, it is Shrama Evi Kevalam. It is so much useless labor. We will read this 1.2.8 very soon. So much useless labor. Okay, we have a lot of questions today, as I said, which is very good, and I will answer all these questions. So let's read. Question number 13. Adi Devika means klesha, that suffering caused by demigods. Does this mean that demigods create suffering for mankind on earth? You are absolutely correct. Demigods cause miseries. Example, Indra is in charge of rain. So when there is more rain or less rain, Indra is doing it. And similarly, Marichi is in charge of wind blowing. So these three kleshas that we are ourselves cause misery to ourselves, or somebody else, another living being causing misery to us, or demigods causing misery to us, are the three kleshas or the three miseries in the material world. Does that answer?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Again, this is not partial because Indra can cause drought if he's not like there's not enough rain, or but when there is enough rain, that is only giving us all the food and whatever is said by Krishna. It's everybody's mutual role in circulating this whole earth and living beings.
The question is demigod giving klesha? It is correct. So Indra is giving misery by either giving more rain when it is not required or giving less rain when it is required.
So it is just saying that any kind of suffering for this cause would, like, primarily responsible are the demigods because they have the powers to give and take, or what, like sunlight.
Yeah, three. So where you read this in Nectar of Instruction, it explains three kleshas, that we ourselves doing misery to ourselves. Second is somebody else doing misery to me. And the third is demigods doing misery to all living beings. So there are three kleshas.
Okay, Prabhuji, got it.
Yeah. So at least one devotee stated in his in the response that this Nectar of Instruction is very, very heavy. All these lines are very confusing and require clarification. So I'm not sure if others also had the same feeling. At least one devotee actually stated this. Did others have the same realizations?
Yes, Prabhuji, it is very heavy.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, so I already said that it looks like a very tiny book. Don't don't assign 15 minutes before the next class time to read, because every statement is very heavy. So the devotee who has asked these questions, the devotee has placed these statements as question. What does this mean? So that is very good. This is exactly the application what we are. Therefore, we are going at a little slow pace. I am answering 3 slides of questions, almost 20 questions. That is very, very good. This is very good endeavor. And after I finish answering the questions, I will point to the point that I mentioned last time about those who are not doing the endeavor. Meghna Samant?
Yes, Prabhu. It took me 3 evenings of reading the same text over and over and over again just to process it.
Yeah, very good. So my task is accomplished, to make you remember Krishna. So 3 evenings, you took time to read, and you probably took even more to process it. My task is accomplished, to make you remember Krishna. Very good. This is exactly what I said at the start, that Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, and Shishopanishad. All 3 scriptures are very, very heavy scriptures. Even though Nectar of Instruction and Shishopanishad are very tiny books, like some 80 some pages, and that too of a very small size, they are actually very, very heavy books. All right, very good. Question number 14. I have a question for all of you. Everybody will answer. This is very important. So we have discussed that Bhagavad Gita is philosophy, and Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion are the practice. So you have to practice. You are not just reading Nectar of Instruction for the sake of reading. No, it is practice. And one example is this question number 14. So my question is, please read question number 14. So I will read for you and you simultaneously read with me. So please read this question number 14 and let me know, what do you think of how this question number 14 is worded. So question number 14 says, the example of birds eat few grains while humans store or take all for tomorrow as well is contradictory to me, because many birds store food for winter or odd days, and that too in different homes, rather than one to save from predators. So I want everyone to respond to me that what do you think of how this question is worded? Everybody? Meghna? So Abhishek says in the chat, seems not accepting what scriptures are saying. Okay, Meghna?
But I think it's the birds are doing this as part of their dharma. They have to store it for the winter. It's part of, but they are not taking the whole bag with them. They
Okay,
are.
so good point that they are not taking the whole bag. But my question is, how is the question worded? That's my question, not on the content. I'm not going on the content right now. We'll come to the content. Right now, my question is on question number 14. How is the question worded? What can you think and what can you say about that? Everybody, quickly, please.
Prabhuji, comparison between human and bird behavior.
Okay. Rest of you, quickly. I want everyone to answer. How is the question worded? Sumnima?
Prabhuji, the person says contradictory to me. Maybe he or she is trying to say that his philosophy or whatever he's saying is better than what's written in the scripture.
Okay, very good. Rest of you, everyone. I want everyone. So we are supposed to practice Bhagavad Gita. I said nectar of instruction is very practice oriented. So is nectar of devotion. So I want everyone to tell me this is your practice. We have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita. So everyone, I want answers from everyone. You can say I don't know. You can say it's okay. That's also valid. What can you tell me? How is the question worded? Kunal Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I think it is kind of comparison. Like, okay, I am not storing. Why are birds storing?
Okay, very good. Okay, Priyanka?
Prabhuji, it's challenging to the scriptures based on imperfect senses.
Okay, very good. Everybody else, those who have not answered, Tara?
Prabhuji, maybe arguing against scriptures.
Okay. Rest of you, very good.
Prabhuji, putting own mental speculations.
All right. Chaitanya
Prabhuji,
Prabhu?
I don't know exactly, but I think there is a difference of consciousness between human beings and other living beings.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not talking about the content. Not so far. I'm focusing on how the question is worded. Okay. Rest of you have not answered. Who's left?
It's being criticized. Birds are also storing. It's being criticized.
Okay. Anybody left to answer? I think everybody answered. So I want you to go Bhagavad Gita 4.4. Bring up. So Arjuna has taught us in Bhagavad Gita on how to inquire submissively. So I want someone to read Bhagavad Gita 4.4 translation. Quickly, please.
Prabhuji, may I?
Yeah, Priyanka, go ahead.
Arjuna said, the sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? Hare Krishna.
Very good. So we have discussed this when we were discussing 4.4, that the statement that Arjuna faced when Krishna said that Krishna instructed some 2 million years ago the Bhagavad Gita to sun god seems contradictory, but Arjuna did not use the word contradictory. Arjuna says, how am I to understand? So I have a suggested wording on the screen. So I put a red cross mark to how the question is worded, and then I have a suggested wording. What am I saying? I am not questioning the question. All I am saying is we have to develop the attitude, the proper attitude to apply the principles of Bhagavad Gita. That submissive inquiry is what we have to develop. So, how have I worded this? The question? My suggested wording is, and you all can tell me if you have something better. My suggested wording for question number 14 is, how am I to understand the example given of birds eat few grains while humans store or take all for tomorrow, when we also know that birds store food for winter? I want everyone to please respond between how the question was originally asked and my suggested wording. What's your response on that? Everybody?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's definitely better.
Yes, Prabhuji. Now it does not question the scripture, but it's now more into ourselves that and our understanding.
Okay, very good. Dara?
Prabhuji,
It is good way of sorry.
Dara, go ahead.
sorry. Prabhuji, it reminds me of our Bhagavad Gita class yesterday, like inquisitiveness, but with humbleness.
Correct. Very good remembrance. So we discussed at batch 6 and 7 yesterday, 4.34 verse, the spiritual master verse, that we have to inquire, but we have to inquire with submissiveness. So our Bhakti Mix class is a practice ground. So we have to develop this so that tomorrow when we go to a living spiritual master, we inquire in a submissive manner. Very good. Abhishek Prabhu?
It shows, like, the wording shows better way of asking the same thing.
Yeah, very good. Meghna, you have something to add? Meghna, we cannot hear you.
Sorry, sorry. I'm having difficulty with my. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. No, it's you changed the same question. It's just the same statement in the form of a humble inquiry, and that changes the tune of what you need, the information you need to acquire, as opposed to already claiming that the information that is stated is wrong.
Yeah, very good. So as I said, and I'll repeat, that nectar of instruction, nectar of devotion are the practice of Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, for every opportunity, so I give you spiritual endeavors every day, every week, that for this every opportunity, we have to think and apply the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So in any inquiry, when you use the words is contradictory to me, or I am not convinced, these are examples of challenging attitude. So there is no limit to how many questions one can ask. Although the devotee who has asked this question does not have any intent of challenging. It's just that how we are used in using a particular grammatical sentence. No, now we have to change, we have to transform. Because tomorrow we are going to go to a spiritual master to inquire. So we have to learn the humble way, and Dhara correctly pointed out from yesterday's discussion on 4.34. That Krishna says you can get knowledge by going to a spiritual master. And how will spiritual master do? There are three things: Paripatena, Pariprashnena, Sevaya. That humbleness, inquisitiveness, and by service. So we have to develop that. Our nectar of instruction is very practical. I am giving you opportunities to apply the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So there is no limit on how many questions one can ask. These spiritual endeavors are meant to make you practice Bhagavad Gita principles. And how you can practice is that whatever question you have, you use Shastra Chakshu. That remember, all Arjuna has taught us. Arjuna's inquiry is the content obviously is important, but the way he has asked, he has taught us lot many things, and we have discussed all those things. Therefore, practice Bhagavad Gita principles. Everybody can do that, please?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So don't feel bad. Don't think that I'm chastising anyone. No, I'm not chastising anyone. We are here to help each other to transform. So that I have explained that our Bhakti Vix class is a practice ground without worrying that, oh, what will somebody say? Oh, it will become so and so. No. Drop everything. This is our practice ground. We are allowed to make mistakes here, as long as we transform on a go forward basis. So coming back to the question. So here's a question for you all. Do birds have families like you and me?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Okay. Second question. Do birds need a lawyer to prepare a will to pass on the belongings to next generation?
No, Prabhuji.
No, Prabhuji.
Why not? They are
Their
living.
belongings are also so basic, no? Just
Yeah.
they make a nest every year.
Yeah.
Their nest, they don't know whether it will remain or not for
Very good.
the next year
Yeah,
or
very
even
good.
for this current year.
Yeah, very good.
And they
So
don't know whether
understand.
they'll have I don't know whether they'll have access to grain again. So
Yeah, very good. That understand that the birds storing for winter is only so much as is required for that winter time. Birds do not store more than what is required. Humans, on the other hand, have greed. They store so much that they need a lawyer to prepare a will to pass on the belongings to the next generation. That's what Prabhupada is even explaining. That birds will come and eat few grains, or if it's winter time, they will take a little more to save for the children and for the winter time. Humans, on the other hand, have greed. That is atyahar. Birds saving for winter is not atyahar. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Meghna?
also the greed I've noticed comes from the constant requirement to feel important, to feel better than others, to feel or more important than others.
Yeah, all those are bodily consciousness. You are correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good. Okay, question number 15. So question number 15 should also be reworded to inquire in a submissive manner, but in essence of time, I only showed one example. Right now, I'm going to read as it is rather than trying to correct everything. It is for you to transform on a go-forward basis. So question number 15 is for Atyahar as per number. We all are struggling hard to find enough for our families. While as per the text, it says that only a milk cow and some land is enough for one's lifetime. So to have such a land which is not barren and cow, who needs maintenance and everything, other thing needs fundamental money in current times. So the example again doesn't fit with me. I could be wrong, but definitely not convinced. So again, this doesn't fit with me, not convinced. You have to drop these words and you can just say, how do I understand this? So we'll not get into that discussion again. So Srimad Bhagavatam 3.9.10 states that factory is another name for hell. So yes, you do need little money to maintain a cow and little land. It says one cow and it says little land, just to grow what you need and be satisfied with that. So in comparison to running a factory, only little money is required to maintain a small land and one cow. Factory means you are not living a simple life, versus what Prabhupada is explaining with this one cow and small land is to practice simple living and high thinking. I understand not everybody will be able to maintain a cow. It is for some whom it is possible. And a couple classes back, Dhara had asked the question about barter, that how is barter possible? So some who may have the ability to maintain a cow, they will maintain a cow. And other devotees may have some other abilities. So these two devotees will then do a barter system. That one devotee will give the excess milk and the other devotee, whatever he is growing excess, will give to this devotee in barter. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Question number 16. Even to build Krishna temple, we need funds, and wealthy people are only able to do so by contributing. So they first became wealthy. Can that be called atyahar? So all those wealthy people in the world are wealthy because of their past karma. Difference between materialistic wealthy person and wealthy devotee is that devotee uses his opulence in Krishna's service, while materialistic people use their opulence for own sense gratification. Perfect example of a wealthy devotee is Amrish Maharaj, who is in charge of Temple of Vedic Planetarium in Mayapur, India. So Amrish Maharaj is born in a family that owns the Ford Motor Company here in North America. Because of past karma, Amrish Maharaj is born in a wealthy family. There was no atyahar. Simultaneously, Amrish Maharaj is continuing his spirituality from where he left off in his previous life. In Times of India newspaper, if you search an article titled Krishna's Billionaire Servant, you will find the life story of Amrish Maharaj. That in spite of being a billionaire in US dollar currency, this Amrish Maharaj is living a simple life in a temple ashram. So we have already read multiple times Srimad Bhagavatam 3.27.8 that simply by doing more endeavor, it is not possible to earn more money. Everyone has a set quota. Therefore, instead of wasting time, should be satisfied with what is obtainable without significant endeavor, and rest of the time should focus on Krishna conscious activities. So I will bring up on screen 3.27.8 and we'll read the translation in paragraph number 1. Abhishek Prabhu, faster pace.
Sorry. Which first paragraph?
Translation. First paragraph.
For his income, a devotee should be satisfied with what he earns without great difficulty. He should not eat more than what is necessary. He should live in a secluded place and always be thoughtful, peaceful, friendly, compassionate, and self-realized. But everyone who has accepted a material body must maintain the necessities of the body by acting or earning some livelihood. A devotee should only work for such income as is absolutely necessary. He should be satisfied always with such income and should not endeavor to earn more and more simply to accumulate the unnecessary. A person in the conditioned state who has no money is always found working very hard to earn some with the object of lording it over material nature. Kapila Dev instructs that we should not endeavor hard for things which may come automatically without extraneous labor. The exact word used here for things which have come, the exact word used in this conversation, yadidchaya, means that every living entity has a predestined happiness and distress in his present body. This is called law of karma. It is not possible that simply by endeavors to accumulate more money, a person will be able to do so. Otherwise, almost everyone would be on the same level of wealth. In reality, everyone is earning and acquiring according to his predestined karma. According to the Bhagavatam conclusion, we are sometimes faced with dangerous or miserable conditions without endeavoring for them, and similarly, we may have prosperous conditions without endeavoring for them. We are advised to let these things come as predestined. We should engage our valuable time in prosecuting Krishna consciousness. In other words, one should be satisfied by his natural condition. If by predestination one is put in a certain condition of life which is not very prosperous in comparison to another's position, one should not be disturbed. He should simply try to utilize his valuable time to advance in Krishna consciousness. Advancement in Krishna consciousness does not depend on any materially prosperous or distressed condition. It is free from the conditions imposed by material life. A very poor man can execute Krishna consciousness as effectively as a very rich man. One should therefore be very satisfied with his position as offered by the Lord.
Okay.
Another word here, sorry.
Does that answer the inquiry?
Which purport was this? Can you
tell me? Read 3.27.8. Brijesh Prabhu?
Prabhuji, it seems like again I could be wrong, but for example, a child who who is not able to secure higher percentage, and when the parents say them that okay, you study for longer hours, and somebody has a memory which is like maybe does it for 15 minutes and could grasp the same amount of marks. So is it in the course of real life also, where we work and earn money, somebody who's working shorter hours has such a fortune where he can make enough for living and maybe enough extra so that he can donate for good causes,
Yeah, you are
or
correct.
somebody
So
who is working long hours but not making enough?
yeah, you are correct. So it is dependent on karma. That's exactly what we read in 3.27.8. That everybody has a set quota. Everybody has this set happiness and distress quota. Simply by endeavor, it is not going to give you more results. It still has to follow your karmic reaction. So somebody has a karmic reaction to earn more with little endeavor. Well, that is his karma. I cannot change that. I cannot do anything. What I do with my karma, I may have to work long and I still earn less, but I still have to find a balance between material and spiritual life, rather than saying that I will work more to earn more. That is not going to be happening if you
But the
don't have the
child,
karma.
when study for extra hours, definitely increases his grades.
No,
So
it's
that
so
extra effort which he puts into anything, uh,
this is not apples and apples comparison. The child studying more versus your karma that is said is not apples and apples comparison.
but Prabhuji, that's somebody whose mental strength or capacity, where we compare about educational qualities or grasping powers, isn't that also karma? Because everybody has been made or given things as per the quota, as you say, and it's because of the past karma or whatever the sufferings we get.
Yeah, you are correct.
So even that is related to the same thing. It's not like I feel it is same for education or for money or any endeavor.
So Bhagavad Gita chapter 15 verse number 8 states that based on your past inclination, you are given a particular set of body and senses. So you are correct that based on your past inclination, you are given a particular set of body and its components. And by studying more, you are just sharpening your intelligence. But that same logic does not apply to earning money, because you have a karmic quota there. It doesn't apply that way.
Also, Prabhuji, one more thing. Let's say anybody who was, I don't know about Mr. Harrison again. Let's take his example because his name was in the example today. I don't know about his past history, but let's say he was not wealthy from the beginning, or somebody who is not wealthy from the beginning. He works hard, or whatever the talent he has or the education he has, he becomes wealthy or she becomes wealthy. And now at certain point of the time they started inclination towards Krishna consciousness. Somebody's from childhood, somebody like me in the middle age, and somebody comes at the old age. So and when they does that, let's say you said he has so much opulence so that he's able to donate such land and everything. So at that point, if somebody does, to reach that point, somebody has to go through all the hardships or the endeavor they have done in life.
And your question is?
So Prabhuji, like the endeavoring part, if somebody is has to become the question here which says, so first become wealthy, can somebody become wealthy first to do something, even to like let's say build a temple or something? There needs funds, and that requires to be wealthy.
So we just read that in the last line that we just read, that a rich or somebody being poor has nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. So your point that I should first become rich and then come to Krishna consciousness, that is not. We just read in the purport. The same purport we have read multiple times.
No, Prabhuji, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry.
So
That
no, you don't have to
Sorry.
be sorry. I'm just answering. You don't have to be sorry.
I didn't mean what you just said. I didn't mean that. I
No,
meant the other way.
yeah, I'm not answering in a chastisement manner. No, I'm just answering that that your comparison of somebody studying more to sharpen the intelligence, that comparison does not apply to that. If you work more and you will earn more, that doesn't apply, because the karma has a set quota for you, period. And somebody wanting to become wealthy first and then come to Krishna consciousness doesn't apply that way. We clearly read in 3.27.8 that somebody is rich or poor is irrelevant for your Krishna consciousness. What we have to learn is to dovetail whatever be my abilities and use majority of the time in Krishna conscious activities, or at least have a balance. That's the point being explained in these verses and in scriptures. Vijesh Prabhu, does that help you?
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right. Question number 17. So this is similar to the previous question we talked about, where I said that I will refer and read 1.2.8. Priyanka will read, if you can bring up while I'm discussing, 1.2.8. So all occupational engagement. So question number 17 is, all occupational engagement, meaning dharma, are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. So this is the statement in the scripture, and the question is that actually it continues that should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. So please elaborate. So Shrama eva hi kevalam. This comes from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.8, that if your occupation, material world honorable occupation, does not cause you to develop attraction for Krishna, then it is useless labor. Priyanka, 1.2.8 translation.
Hey Krishna. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead.
Right.
Oh, Krishna.
So we have discussed that we have to live according to Bhagavad Gita 8.7, that we remember Krishna before doing any activity, while doing any activity, and after doing the activity. This way we will offer our mind, intelligence, and our work to Krishna. If we are simply working without dovetailing, then it is so much useless waste of time, because our occupational duty does not generate attraction for Krishna. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhu. But somebody who is having Krishna in his occupational, like he's remembering Krishna, whatever work he's doing, and for let's say 18 hours a day, then that is okay, right?
As long as you have a balance. 18 hours may not have
Somebody
balance.
has that job duties, assuming it's, I'm not giving a black and white example of someone, just assuming that.
Balance. So what is balance for one will vary for other. As long as you have time for spirituality, then you have a balance. If you don't have time for spirituality, then it is not your occupational duty, it is not your prescribed duty, then you don't have balance.
Prabhuji, an additional question to this only. Let's say, again, not any particular person, but the basic services we said for remembering Krishna is like, let's say, going to temple, service at home temple, or seva in the kitchen. But somebody is not able to make time for this services, but he's still remembering Krishna, maybe by chanting his name or the other way, whatever possible for that person. Is that okay? Or when we say that there are bare minimum standards set, so one must practice that, then only this works.
So bare minimum standards you have to practice. Meaning, doing devotional service to Krishna, either at the home temple or at the temple. So some can do devotional services every day. Some may be able to do once a month. So for example, our team We generally go once, maybe twice a month. Some months, like this month, is going to be more because there are back-to-back events and circumstances. But generally, we go once a month. So, Srila Prabhupada say that service to spiritual master and service to Krishna should run parallel like the two train tracks. You cannot skip this. So service part, we discussed this at yesterday's Bhagavad Gita class 4.34 verse for batch 6 and 7, that you can get Krishna's grace by three things: humbleness, inquisitiveness, and service. So if you don't have service, and I'm not saying do service 24 hours or every day, do service when it is possible, but you cannot say that I will skip service forever. It is not possible. So those devotees who came to do service on Nityanand Day, we served Her Grace Sadhana Mother and her husband, His Grace Raman Prabhu. That there's actually described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, it should be around verse number 17, that without service, you cannot develop the taste for spirituality. It's not possible. So serving devotees is how you are supposed to develop the taste. If you skip service, it is not possible. So don't replace. I'm not saying do service every week. I'm not saying that. Our team goes once a month, and I generally give advance notice. Well, you can try to work around to find time to do service once a month. And it does not have to be like 4, 5, 6, 8, 12 hours. No, you come 1 hour, do little service. So I will again use Priyanka because she is good at looking up words. Priyanka, if you want to go Bhagavatam 1.2.16, obviously it's a key memorization verse, but about service, if you want to read the translation, 1.2.16.
Yes, Prabhuji. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Hare
Right.
Krishna.
So by doing service, you gain the taste for hearing the message of Vasudeva. Vijesh Prabhu, does that help you?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Meghna, you had something?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. When you were mentioning, doing the extra work and constantly working doesn't, and not in Krishna consciousness, doesn't get you anywhere. I was thinking about it and thinking, the thought that occurred to me was that it actually burns you out.
You are absolutely correct. That it actually burns you out, that you have to find a balance. And even for spirituality, I have said this to many, that even for your spiritual endeavor, Krishna's service continues 24 hours. Don't think that I will do more service and I will get elevated. It doesn't work that way. Even for your spiritual services, you need to find a balance. So Abhishek Prabhu had asked this question earlier. No, you need to find a balance even in your spiritual endeavors. Meghna?
Yeah. And a lot, made sense for me also, because in my field of work, constant working and taking on more thinking that, oh, I should be um, I'm just helping. But that constant martyrdom kind of, becoming a martyr to that also caused burnout, because when I started realizing that, no, I need to take care of myself. I need to, spend the time with my family, spend time in doing activities together with them too, spend time in, taking care of my health, then it made the burnout improved, which was, so I look at those activities as activities of Krishna consciousness, right? Like even sitting alone for some time and, reorganizing my thoughts is that sitting alone with my God, right? With my Krishna, to understand my thoughts.
Yeah, so find a balance. So next 2 weeks, so actually today we were supposed to do services, but because of the extreme weather situation here in Toronto, we have skipped the services today. So next 2 weeks, we are again going to do services at the Toronto Temple Sunday. So all of you should plan that accordingly. And for this memorization of verses, some of you have actually perfected, others are still in the practice. All of you should come, those who are locally here in Toronto, because I'm going to take the mind control exercise to the next level. And then you can explain how your mind is in control or not in control to rest of the devotees who are physically far away. So for example, Sumnima had initially asked this question that, is it okay to listen to Prabhupada lecture? And I said, start with verse memorization first. So this next exercise is coming up in our upcoming services. And all of you who are physically in and around Toronto should come, learn what you learn, that how my mind is in control or not in control, and explain to rest of the devotees. Everybody can do that, please.
Yes, Prabhuji.
And next Sunday is anyway Ekadashi also. So for 2 reasons, everybody should come to do services. So there's a question posted by Abhishek Prabhu in the chat that what we were discussing about everyone has a quota, that about fixed wealth, that if someone stops working, do they lose their destined wealth? So Krishna has answered this about not working at great length in 2.47, then in chapter 3 and chapter 4 and chapter 5, that inactivity is not possible for the soul. So Abhishek Prabhu, you want to read 2.47? You can also recite if you like. Sanskrit. Karmani eva adhikaraste.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. 2.47. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्म फल हेतुर्भूः माते संगोऽस्तु कर्मणि.
Mate sango astu akarmani. That's the answer. Yeah, read the translation.
You have the right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities and never be attached to not doing your duty.
Never be attached to not doing your duty. Abhishek Prabhu, does that answer?
I was asking in the sense people who use this statements in a wrong way. If someone wants to use it, saying that I have so and so quota.
You have to work. So it's actually further described in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 11 also. I don't have the reverse reference right now. It's there in 11 also. That we have to endeavor. We have to practice. We have same applies for materialistic also. Yes, I may have karmic credit, but if I sit idle, I'm not going to get it. No, you have to endeavor. Just over endeavor we have to avoid.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Last question for today. What is the best way to start abandoning the association of non-devotees when they are family and close friends? So abandoning association of materialistic persons who are not family is very easy by simply keeping ourselves busy with devotee association. We avoid such non-family materialistic association. And you will hear this that in a lecture that I will send you for Nectar of Devotion. In that Nectar of Devotion lecture, Prabhupada is reciting this Nectar of Instruction text number 2 verse, where even though the text number 2 verse says about Sangatyaga, means to avoid materialistic association, Prabhupada recites, instead of Sangatyaga, he recites the whole verse, but instead of reciting Sangatyaga, Prabhupada recites Sadhu Sangha. So in the recitation, Prabhupada is giving the solution, which is there in text number 3. So Prabhupada is doing both things together, that he's just reciting the solution. That by Sadhu Sangha, you very easily avoid the association of materialistic people who are not family. Now, non-devotee family members, we do not need to abandon. Rather, we use the opportunity to practice our spirituality, such as tolerance and compassion. So Prahlad Maharaj has taught this from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, that even after Prahlad Maharaj's father Hiranyakashipu did so many atrocities against Parikshit Maharaj, still Parikshit Maharaj did not leave the family. And when Narsimadev was killing Parikshit Maharaj's father, Parikshit Maharaj still prayed to Narsimadev to forgive his father. And instead of speaking philosophy to your non-devotee family members, first, in a subtle manner, try to give them prasad. Yes, if they are ready to take prasad voluntarily, by all means, give them prasad. But some family members are even averse to taking prasad, then give them prasad in a subtle manner. How? You offer bhoga at your home temple, and just the water, the Maha water that you have offered to Gopinath, you mix with the water in a pitcher, and this becomes the prasadam water for all family members. So first, you have to give them prasad, only then they will start to transform. Otherwise, don't speak philosophy to them. Prabhupada has explained this in, I think it is chapter 3, verse number 13 or 14 purport, that first give them prasad. By prasad, their finer tissues of the mind are cleansed. Only then they will be inclined for spirituality. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Okay. Those were all the inquiries. Thank you all. We spent almost 2 hours on inquiries. I will now bring up striking points on screen. We have 4 slides. So this is slide number 1. Take a snapshot. Slide number 2. Slide number 3. And slide number 4. Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna Guruji.
Right.
Someone asked me, I don't understand this question properly, that like, is it in principle possible for a world where people can satisfy material desires, but it is not full of misery? Like Lord Krishna can create that kind of world? Or
It
it's
doesn't
just
exist. It doesn't exist. Miseries are always there. Material world is a place of misery. What we have to do is we have to change our attitude towards misery, which Abhishek Prabhu, you are part of the other batch, Srimad Bhagavatam classes, where we have discussed this in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, from Kunti Maharani's prayers, and is coming up in Canto 1, Chapter 17 and 18, that we have to change our attitude towards misery. Miseries are given so that we realize that that this place is not our permanent home. We have to go back home to Godhead by dropping everything from here and purifying ourselves. That's what we have to understand. Abhishek Prabhu?
The intent of the question was like something challenging, that this is how the world has been created by Lord Krishna. So, and so that we can go back to Godhead. But it is how he has done it. So can he not do it where people can enjoy and there are no miseries?
Yeah, so we have discussed this. What Krishna can and cannot do is not for us to judge. Krishna can do it. So that world does exist. That is the spiritual world. If you read Bhagavad Gita chapter 8 from verse number 20 onwards, up to verse number 19, Krishna does the comparison of the material world being miserable. And then from chapter 8, verse number 20 onwards, he says there is another world, manifested world, which is the spiritual world where misery does not exist. It does exist. But right now we are in, because of our impurities, we are in the material world where it is a place of misery. So if you want to go to a place where there is no misery, yes, purify yourself and go back home to Godhead. So you can make that devotee read chapter 8, verse number 20 onwards. And it actually explains that there is no misery in spiritual world.
Thank you.
So we are only about 5 minutes away from our end time. So we won't cover anything more today. We will discuss the Nectar of Instruction text number 2 at our following class. I want everyone to understand we did a lot of practical discussions. And what is our key learning point in terms of how do we reword the inquiries? Anybody wants to explain? And then I will play. George Harrison came up multiple times. So I will play George Harrison's Kirtan that he has built for us. Abhishek Prabhu?
We should ask question to understand how something which is said in scripture is true rather than challenge that it cannot be true.
So basically you drop the words contradictory, you drop the words I am not convinced. Another thing I want to explain, which I explained in another batch, you drop the word but. When you use the word but, you are basically questioning, challenging. So now the dropping of the word but may not always be possible. Still try this, and I'll give you the simple solution. When you have to use the word but, replace the word but with the word and. To use the word and instead of but, you will have to rephrase your first part of the question in a positive manner. Or the other option to avoid the word but is that you state a fact in the first part of your sentence, put a full stop, and the second part of the sentence you say, my question in this relation is so and so. So avoid these words, but try. Now, I'm saying it's not always possible, but try it. And these positive way of inquiry, it's not only on weekends that we have to use. We have to dovetail our learnings and we have to apply in our day-to-day communications also, that avoid the use of the word but. What that will do is you will have to think, how do I phrase my sentence in a positive manner so that the word but doesn't come up? Try it. I'm not saying you'll be 100% successful in this. Still, it is possible that you avoid the word but by replacing it with and, or you rephrase your sentence in such a way that the first part you state a fact, put a full stop, and the second part you say it. In this relation, my question is so and so. Everybody, is that possible for you all?
It's probably with practice.
Okay, very good.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So I will play George Harrison's Kirtan that all ISKCON temples play first thing 4:30 a.m. Mangalarti time. And we'll discuss Nectar of Instruction text number 2 at our next class.
Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Bhagavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundaranam Kandar Agom Vikamaniya Visesha Shobha Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Andani Yasa Sakalem Priya Priti Manti Tasyan Vipan Kayanti Jiram Jaganti Anangatin Maya Sadhu Jala Vigrasya Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adipurusham Namaham
Is that beautiful Kirtan dovetailing his ability in Krishna's service?
It was beautiful.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right, thank you. We'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.